The total compensation amount is 1.9 billion from 2019. To date, in 2024, only 326 million shillings has been paid out. Those who do maths, I don't know what percentage that is. A whopping 1.5 billion hasn't been paid. See, as you know, you and I have engaged on this matter before in your past life. At the same time that this road was started, we had two other roads whose compensation figures were 5 billion plus. Those amounts in the Western Bypass and the Eldoret Bypass, those amounts have almost completely been paid as compensation. The Speaker, with all due respect, it is good for the people of Kitui to just know whether this matter is ever going to be dealt with conclusively or not. Because the answer given by the CS, Mr. Speaker, that there are no funds available in Kenya, it's a difficult response to take. It reminds me, Mr. Speaker, as a representative of my people, of the Nyayo era when the president himself then said that sections that did not support his government, the answer to any question would be there is no money.
Honorable Wambua, you are giving a speech. What is the question?
The Speaker, on matters like this, it is very difficult to just ask a question directly. Just allow me to pave my way to the question. I beg you, Mr. Speaker.
Then do it quickly.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, how can there be a point of order on a question, really?
Proceed to ask your question, Senator Wambua.
Mr. Speaker, the question then to the CS is, where does that leave us in relation to Article 40 of the Constitution, 43B, that if the government is going to acquire any land for public interest, then the compensation should be prompt and be made in full. These people have been deprived of their land from 2019. They are not cultivating on that land. We are being told there's no money. Mr. Speaker, when will this money be available and when will these people be compensated? The second question, Mr. Speaker, is related to the first. The Speaker, CS Murkomen and I belong to the same church, the African Inland Church. Some of the persons affected by project are church properties. And I want to make reference to AIC Chulun, which is on the road. Their land has been taken. Their neighbors have been compensated. This compensation, Mr. Speaker, is taking place. But it depends on who knows who in the ministry. Their neighbors go approach the NLC, they get some money. Some other people go approach the NLC, they get some money. The church has no capacity to go and approach any ministry official to be compensated to construct a sanctuary. The Speaker, is the minister aware of these dealings within the ministry, that it depends on who knows who for the compensation to take place, so that we nip it at the bud, and that compensation, as we agreed as leaders, should begin from kilometer 0, going towards Migwani. The Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable CS, one question, give us an indication when these people will be compensated, and two, must you know somebody in your ministry for you to be compensated? Very brief.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I see the questions are many, so I'll just go to the point. The first thing is to say that the question of compensation, land compensation, is not only affecting Kibwezi Road. We need to know, as I said earlier, James Kishuru Rironi Road is affected. Keno Sagana is affected. Eldoret bypass is affected. So their western bypass is affected. So many roads are affected across the country. And I've just mentioned a few where we have even a road that going to Swam in Kitale. Mr. Speaker, we have so many people still asking for their compensation, and yet we've done all these roads. So first of all, let's appreciate the people who have accepted, including the Kibwezi residents, accepted development. Remember, this is a massive road of about 80 kilometers, I think so, 80 kilometers. And out of that road, I remember this road, Mr. Speaker, because we were with Senator Wambua here when he first brought the question. So this is a historical issue for Senator Wambua. But remember, most of the landowners, only part of their land has been taken by the road. The remaining part of the land, the value has increased maybe 100 times. So even when they are waiting for their compensation, they're benefiting already from the development that we've done, and their value is going up in terms of their property. So you must thank the residents, but we must also appreciate the benefit that comes. Number two, Senator Wambua, besides representing the people affected by the project, also represents the people of Kitui, who have received immense development by construction of a Kena road of 80 kilometers. That's massive in terms of the benefit of the bigger majority of the people in the area, business, trade, and all that. So it shouldn't look like it's only the negative that should be amplified. Number two, as a fellow AIC member, Senator Wambua said, I am not aware, Mr. Speaker, of any person who is being paid for knowing somebody at the National Land Commission. In any case, where would National Land Commission get that money if we don't give them in the roads sector? Because they have to receive an allocation from Kena before they can pay somebody. If they are paying other people without us giving them money, then we must thank National Land Commission and ask them where they are getting this money. It would be unimaginable to think the National Land Commission would get money from any other source other than the one being transmitted from Kenya. We own up to the position that we have only given 300 million shillings. We still owe people 1.5 billion. We will pay this money as soon as the budget is allocated by National Assembly. We believe, Mr. Speaker, we hoped that by this year we were going to give the necessary budgetary allocation, but you know, public debt and many other challenges have delayed compensation, allocation to the infrastructure sector. We need, Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat here, we need in the next financial year, for us to clear pending bill, we need 150 billion shillings. If we are given the 150 billion shillings, we will now come to zero before now progressing to construct the remaining balance of the roads in the country. So you can see how serious that challenge is. Senator Wambua, I am glad you know that it happened not when we came to office, but as early as 2019, and it has been an historical problem across the country. I thank you.
Senator Wakole. Senator Mundigi.
Thank you, Bwana Speaker. Yangu ni kuuliza waziri kulingana na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, mambo ya counties kutoka Nairobi mpaka Makutano ni kilomita 100, ni highway huwa tunaenda na dakika 40, na kutoka Makutano kwenda Mwea, kwenda Embu na kwenda Tharaka Nithi na kwenda Meru tunaenda na masaa kama 3. Ni Bwana Waziri.
Senator Mundigi, nimetoa kauli mwanzoni kwamba swali ambao senators watauliza lazima liwe na uhusiano na lile swala ambalo liliulizwa mwanzo na Senator Enoch Wambua. Kwa hivyo usiulize swali ambalo halina uhusiano na lile swali ambalo limeulizwa mwanzo. Endelea.
Lakini Bwana Speaker, swali langu linahusikana mambo ya parapara. Vile tunaweza kusaidia.
Senator ni sawa linahusiana na barabara, lakini barabara ile ama swala, ngoja ni kueleze, pengine nifafanue ili uelewe. Kweli waziri aliye mbele ya Senate hivi leo ni waziri wa barabara. Haimaanishi kwamba utaulizwa swali lolote lile ambalo linagusia barabara. La hasha. Utaulizwa swali ambalo linaambatana ama ni la uhusiano na lile swali la mwanzo ambalo limeulizwa na Mheshimiwa Senator Enoch. Manake ukichagua barabara yote ama swali lolote ambalo linagusa barabara, ni swala litakuwa tofauti kabisa na lile swali ambalo limeulizwa na Mheshimiwa Senator Omwa. Endelea, Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, na kuomba ruhusa tukimaliza maswali yote, kwa sababu waziri yako hapa na mara mingi tumekuwa tukimhitaji na kujangi na tunajua ni mchapakazi. Utaniruhusu dakika ya mwisho nimruhuse swali hilo la kutoka Embu County.
Endelea, ikiwa pengine waziri ana ufahamu na hayo mambo atakujibu. Ikiwa hawezi kukujibu kwa sasa atakwambia. Endelea.
Bwana Spika, ni asanti. Najua bwana waziri kwa akili yake inakuanga timamu kabisa na ako na mambo ya serikali ya Kenya Kwanza.
Nimuuliza swali.
Swali langu bwana waziri, sisi Embu County, Tharaka Nithi na Meru County tatu tuko Mount Kenya East na tunateseka sana. Kutoka hapa kwenda makutano ni kilomita 100 na tunaenda dakika 40, lakini kutoka makutano kwenda Mwea, kwenda Embu na kwenda Tharaka Nithi na kwenda Meru tunaenda masaa 3. Tunakuomba, tunakuuliza kama kuna mambo umetupangia sisi watu wa Mount Kenya East, hiyo barabara ipanuliwe ndio hata sisi tuweze kusherekea matunda ya serikali ya Kenya Kwanza kwa hii kipindi ya miaka 5, kwa sababu miezi ambayo inakuja, miaka inakuja, tunataka Embu County UST, kwa sababu najua ndio ile Mount Kenya East tunategemea ikiwa Mount Kenya region. Asanti bwana waziri, na unjue hiyo swali umeulizwa na Deputy Party Leader wa Democratic Party of Kenya.
Waziri, jibu tafadhali.
Asante sana bwana Spika. Ningependa kusema kwamba ile swali ya bwana Mundiki ni swali ya maana sana. Tuko na nia ya kupanua barabara zetu zote kutoka Mombasa mpaka Malaba, kutoka hapa Museum Hill mpaka Moyale, kutoka pia makutano kama vile mheshimiwa amesema mpaka ifikie Meru, ipite Timau, ikutane na ile barabara ya kuelekea Isiolo, na pia barabara ya kutoka Isibania iende mpaka yetu na ndugu zetu kutoka Sudan Kusini. Mheshimiwa Spika, hilo swali ni ya maana, lakini nikirudi hivi punde nitarudi na mswada ya kuhusiana na mambo ya tolling. Tolling ambayo ni lazima tuifanye kama taifa kama tutaweza kupanua barabara hizo. Kwa hivi sasa tunajadiliana na wanakandarasi ambao watatusaidia kujenga barabara ya Rironi mpaka Mau Summit, na tutakapomaliza haya tutapitisha kupitia bunge hii sheria ya tolling ili tuhakikishe kwamba barabara zetu kuu zinaweza kutupatia fedha ya kutosha kujenga na ijengwe na wafadhili ambao pia baadaye tutaweza kuchukua zile hela ambao zinatoka tolling kuendeleza mambo ya kujenga barabara zingine nyingi kwa sehemu zingine za Kenya. Asante sana bwana Mundiki, na hiyo swali ni ya maana. Asante sana.
Honorable Senators, since the Honorable CS has 8 questions to respond, and I can see the trend we've taken in the first question, we may spend a lot of time just prosecuting the first question. If you agree with me, allow the CS to respond to the 8 questions, and then from there we can harvest supplementary questions. Good. So Senator Enoch, proceed to ask question number 15. After that, I'll allow the Senator Fernandi to ask the questions, and then we'll move to Senator for Kisumu, and then Senator for Meru, lastly Senator for Bungoma. Thereafter, we'll proceed to supplementary questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My second question to CS Roads is, what is the current state of the Idhokwe airstrip in Kitui County, and are there any plans to upgrade it to commercial status? Question number 2, could the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on the construction progress of the Seikuru and Mutomo airstrips in Kitui County? And now that, Mr. Speaker, you have given guidance. Now that, Mr. Speaker, you have given guidance on supplementary questions, so I will not be asking my supplementary question. I will be leaving my friend, my colleague, Senator Manzo, to take up the answers for me. I have to exit the chamber briefly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sears.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Idhokwe Kitui airstrip is a Code 2C aerodrome capable of handling aircraft with passengers capacity of 37 and has a runway with a tarmac surface with dimensions of 930 meters long and 18 meters wide. It's located about 2 kilometers out of Kitui town. The pavement has deteriorated with potholes in sections of the runway and apron. There are also overgrown shrubs and bushes within the runway strip and some low spots on sections of the runway that are causing ponding whenever there is a downpour. The indicative rehabilitation works include extending the runway from 930 meters to 1,200 meters to elevate it to Code 3C, thus increasing its capacity to handle larger aircraft of up to 56 passengers. Expand the width of the runway from 18 meters to 30 meters to conform with the runway code requirements. Rehabilitate pavements by repairing potholes and asphalt concrete overlay. Pavement markings, drainage works, and other associated works. As of now, the government has no plans in place to upgrade the facility to commercial status, but shall be seeking the indulgence of the National Assembly in the allocation of funds for possible consideration of upgrading it. Mr. Speaker, the tender on the Seikuru airstrip, the tender document was issued on 17th of August 2021 through an advertisement in My Government, the Kenya Airports Authority website, and the PPIP portal. The advert closed on 2nd February 2022. A notification of intention to enter into a contract was issued on 13 July 2022, and the contractor signed and returned the acceptance of the offer on 20 July 2022. Before the contract could be signed, it was noted that there was outstanding land matters that are yet to be resolved, and therefore the contract could not be executed to enable the commencement of the works. Following a joint boundary verification and establishment of beacons that was undertaken by the Kenya Airports Authority, National Land Commission, District Surveyor, and the County Government of Kitui, it was established that parts of the runway, runway 06 to 24, are within the road reserve class C road from Seikuru town to Usweni, as shown in the attached site layout drawing. Additional parcel of approximately 50 acres are required for the relocation of the access road and overhead KPLC, Kenya Power Lighting Company power lights. The additional land parcels will also ensure that there is adequate provision for apron, taxiways, passenger terminal building, and office block. Due to the outstanding land matters, therefore, the contract cannot be signed until additional funding is availed to enable purchase of additional parcels of approximately 50 acres and compensation of the project affected persons. On Mutomo airstrip, Mr. Speaker, Mutomo airstrip is a Code 2C aerodrome with a gravel runway service measuring 890 meters long and 20 meters wide. It is located along the Kitui-Kibwezi Road with geographical coordinates indicated below. Currently, there is no ongoing construction works for allocation of fund in the financial year 2023-24 or 24-25 as per the budget provision, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Question number 16, Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for indulging me to ask this question to the CS loans. Mr. Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a schedule of pending bills currently owned by the Kenya Urban Loans Authority, KULA, and the Kenya National Youth Authority, KENA, to contractors engaged in road construction projects across the country, clearly indicating the proportion that constitute accumulated interest and the penalties from delayed payments? And part B, what occasioned the delay in settling bills due for payment by the two government entities, resulting in accumulation of unavoidable interest and penalties that overshot the costs of the respective projects to untenable levels? And part C, Honorable Speaker, what measures has the government put in place to ensure the timely settlement of bills as they fall due, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for the settlement of the existing pending bills? And part D, the last one, could the Cabinet Secretary also explain mechanisms the government has put in place to improve the quality of procurement and project management processes to mitigate against irregular award of tenders, inflation of project costs, and certification as complete of projects that have not attained the requisite standards? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, because the road questions, I see the road questions are fairly similar, whether it is in Meru, whether it's the question on Nandi, in terms of this road has not been done this. Let me just make a very brief statement, Mr. Speaker, on the status of the roads in just 3 minutes. Mr. Speaker, first, I noticed that 5 of the 8 questions touch on road infrastructure, and I think it reflects the importance of the importance and that the distinguished members of this House assigned to this sector, which is a key enabler insofar as development is concerned. Given the high level of interest in the performance of this sector, which also has been witnessed first and during 28 consultative meetings between the Ministry and National Assembly and Senate members from different counties, including their speakers, let me give you a global figure overview of the status of the roads. My ministry wishes to bring to the attention of this Senate 2 subjects. The first concerns road construction. Regarding the road construction, the development vote for the national government exchequer made available to support road projects in this financial year was 63 billion. While this allocation is a significant amount and the ministry will diligently ensure that the money is used very well, it is notable that the pending bill on various projects as at 31st December 2023 is 163 billion and 162.4 billion. It may be seen that with the budget allocation of at 38% of the pending bills before taking into account the certified value of new works to be undertaken in the course of the year, the projects are significantly under-resourced at the moment. The consequence of the road projects funding gap will have been well noted by members of this House, who in their role as representatives of the people should be duly informed of the status of the road projects in their respective regions. Most projects funded under the development vote are progressing much slower than they ought to be. And if we go at this rate, Mr. Speaker, we will complete those roads in 15 years. That is serious. As mentioned earlier, most projects have significant payment arrears that have built up since 2019, 2020, or earlier. And hence, even when partial payments are made, construction does not resume immediately. In the last year and a half, global and macroeconomic constraints did not allow sufficient fiscal headroom for the project funding gap to be addressed adequately. However, in the economic situation now stabilizing and showing signs of positive outlook, The ministry is working closely with the National Treasury to ensure that the government efforts to complete ongoing projects are expedited. And you've heard the President, Mr. Speaker, making publicly his intention, including in meetings that we were together in Bomet, that the next financial year we should provide a budget allocation of over 100 billion so that then we can quickly complete the pending bills. The second issue is road maintenance. The enabling legislation governing the resource of road maintenance, such as the Road Maintenance Levy Fund Act, the Kenya Roads Board Act, and the Kenya Roads Act, were enacted in 1993 and 2007 and served well their respective roles over the years. However, in the time since these pieces of legislation came into force, the government has strongly prioritized and upgrading to bitumen standards of rural roads that are largely under the purview of Kenya Rural Roads Authority. These roads reach deep into the countryside and provide the equivalent of a last-mile connectivity for the road transport system. The challenge is that the resources for maintaining paved rural roads are not adequately provided for in the current allocation of road maintenance funds. In fact, it is an understatement to say not adequately provided for. They are actually not provided for. While Kenya receives 32% of the road maintenance levy fund, little of this prioritized for purpose of maintaining paved roads. While making this observation, allow me to know that my ministry continues to appreciate the good work done on unpaved roads with the guidance of the Constituency Roads Committee, a participatory and responsive mechanism that ensures local pain points and bottlenecks receive adequate attention. The effect of lack of designated funding for maintenance of paved roads is that recently constructed rural roads, particularly about 5,100 kilometers under Kera, lack the resources for maintaining them. Consequently, there is a real risk that in the absence of proper maintenance, the newly built roads will progressively deteriorate, and some have already deteriorated, and ultimately no longer serve their intended purpose. I'm sure members of this House, given the excellent information they have about road conditions in their areas, can provide some of the roads, rural paved roads that need maintenance. There is a Rombo road here in Kajiado. We have a road in Laikipia, Mr. Speaker. There's a road of Kuresoi to Silibwet. There is a road, Mr. Speaker, that we were with Majority Leader in his county, Chepseon to Daraja, to Makutano. Mailine, actually, that's the place is Mailine, and many other places across the country. All these roads that were done under low volume seal. Since a budget was not provided for maintenance, all those roads are deteriorating and no attention is given because the entire allocation to the Kera is concentrating on the Maram roads in the rural areas. And the structure that we have at the moment, all that allocation is going to those type of roads. So, Mr. Speaker, the situation with the road maintenance is further complicated by the fact that the fuel levy has remained 18 shillings per litre since 2016, a time when litre of a petrol cost was 100 shillings. In 2024, the fuel levy is still at 18 per litre, whereas a litre of petrol costs about 200. The steady decline in the purchasing power of the fuel levy collection means that there is a growing backlog of maintenance activities that ought to have been done, but were instead postponed and deferred. Specifically, the projection resource needed for the maintenance of the levy fund for financial year 2024-2025 is projected resources need for road maintenance levy fund for 2024-2025 is 110 billion, while the anticipated collection of that same year is 69, a shortfall of about 40 billion. This funding shortfall risks reversing the trend of ever-improving road pavement conditions that citizens are now accustomed to and take for granted. This problem is cross-cutting and affects both the roads in Kenya, Kura, Kera, and maintained by the Kenya Wildlife Services. Mr. Speaker, we anticipate that in due course of the government will bring a proposed legislation to address the road maintenance challenges. And currently, I am working on, Mr. Speaker, a cabinet memo to think of how else we are going to do what we need to do, including what in my response to the Deputy Party Leader of DP, Mr. Speaker, that tolling and increase of RMLF, we have even proposed that RMLF should increase to 23 shillings per litre by the year 2025 if we are going to bridge the gap that is in place. And I will be coming back to this House on the same. So specifically to this now question, and briefly, because I have given the global figure, Mr. Speaker, the total pending bill for Kenya as of 31st January 2024 is 87 billion, 907,106. 87 billion, 90 million, 907,106. And the proportion of the interest on delayed payment is 4 billion, 803,584. Whereas the Kura, the total pending bill is 15 billion, 548, 928, 503, and the interest on delayed payment is 18 billion, 18 million, 306,207. The respective schedule for pending bills for both Kena and Kura are attached in the response. I don't know why we didn't, the Honorable Deputy Speaker did not ask about Kera. And I should have also included in my statement just for the global figure for you to appreciate that 87 plus 18, the difference, which is about 60 billion, is on the Kera roads, Mr. Speaker. The delay in settling the pending bills was caused by a budget cuts during the supplementary budget processing and delayed receipt of exchequer funding. The ministry is in constant liaison with the National Treasury to ensure that adequate consideration is given to project funding during budget preparation process. The ministry also seeks the indulgence of this House, which is the enacting authority for authority for legislation to support programs, Mr. Speaker, that relate to supporting alternative mechanism of raising funds. And I am amending that section specifically because this is not the National Assembly. Article 227 of the Constitution provides for the procurement and the asset disposal system that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. The public procurement was previously undergone serious reforms, and current Article 227 is being operationalized by the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 and Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Regulation 2020. All procurement across the road agencies in Kenya, Kera, and Kura are done in strict adherence and compliance with the provision of the Act and its attendant regulation. The Act provides a roadmap on the procurement process from planning and budgeting up to the inspection and acceptance of contracted goods, services, and works. Use of standard bidding documents and adherence to the set evaluation criteria has been paramount.
Honorable CS, just a minute. What is your intervention, Honorable Senator Katuri?
Honorable Speaker, I want to save the CS, my friend Kipchumba Murkomen, some minutes. Because Party D, I think I'm satisfied with the explanation. So I'm trying to save you some minutes, but I'll make a comment on the other part.
Okay.
So Party D, I'm okay with it.
I am very happy, Mr. Speaker, not to reread the statement because, you know, it is submitted earlier to Parliament, and I'm glad that the Deputy Speaker, in his wisdom, and as a part of your support system in the House, has saved me time. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Senator Fernandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will start with my question number one. Question number 011, sorry. Question 1A, Part A, would the Cabinet Secretary provide an overview of the performance metrics of Kenya Airways KQ, particularly the gross and operational profit or loss for the half year ended June 2023, explaining how the profits or loss compared against other key industry players, Mr. Speaker, sir. Part B, Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a comprehensive account of all support, including government bailouts and loans from Export-Import Bank of the United States of America, extended to Kenya Airways over the last 10 years, highlighting the respective amounts received and the purposes for which the support was extended. Number C, Mr. Speaker, sir, which foreign consultancy firms have been engaged by the KQ in the last 10 years to revitalize the airline, and could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the respective amounts paid to each, as well as provide an overview of the recommendations made by the firms, Mr. Speaker, sir. Finally, D, what was the rationale behind the decision of KQ to ground Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, registered as 5Y KZJ, another Boeing 737-700, registered as 5Y KQH, KQH and KQG, that is 787-8. And could the Cabinet Secretary also explain why the option of converting this aircraft to cargo planes was not pursued, and identify the authority that approved the removal of parts from this aircraft? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Just by way of introduction, Mr. Speaker, I hope this is the last time I'll answer questions about Kenya Airways, because it's our intention to return Kenya Airways to a private company so that the government of Kenya cannot continue subsidizing Kenya Airways, and therefore the public do not have a stake for us to come and answer questions about private companies in Parliament. So our effort in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza to make sure that we offload all the shares that the government owns in the Kenya Airways, so that we return it to a profitable private company that will not require the subsidies that we have had to subsidize and converted. If we convert the debt that they owe to the government of Kenya into equity, it increases their shareholding. So hopefully our manifesto objectives of getting a strategic investor will make it the last time we are discussing Kenya Airways. Mr. Speaker, as captured in the table below, and I'm sure the Honourable Senator has an answer, the submitted statement in good time. As captured in the table below, the Ministry through Kenya Airways reported an operating profit in the first half of financial year 2023, a milestone that it hadn't reached in the previous 6 years. The airline has made a significant 120% improvement, reporting an operating profit of 998 million compared to the same period in the previous year, where there was a reported loss of 5 billion. The table number 10 will explain. The growth was fueled by the 56% increase in group revenue, reaching an impressive 75 billion. Additionally, our passenger numbers surged 2.3 million, an impressive 43% growth from 1.6 million. And our earnings before interest, tax and depreciation and amortization and rent costs witnessed a commendable upswing of 7 points. Our gross profit improved by an impressive 131%, resulting in these commendable outcomes. We acknowledge that our legacy debt did bring down the impressive operating results, primarily to the huge forex losses because of the depreciation of the Kenya shillings against the dollar. These forex losses were primarily due to the re-evaluation of the US dollar denomination loans and liabilities. These finance charges in total amount of 22 billion and therefore heavily impacted our overall results. Mr. Speaker, the airline industry is highly competitive and therefore profit margins in the industry are thin. According to the International Airport Transport Association, IATA, the average net profit margin for the global airline industry is typically less than 5%. An overview of airline profitability compared to other industries is captured below. Vulnerability to external factors. Airlines are highly vulnerable to external factors that can impact the profitability, including fluctuations in fuel prices, currency devaluations, supply chain challenges, and geopolitical events. Capital intensity. Airlines require significant capital investment in aircraft maintenance and infrastructure, which can limit their profitability. This unlike other businesses that do not have the same level of capital intensity. Cynicality. The airline industry is cynical and can be sensitive to economic cycles. During economic downturns, demand for air travel may decline, affecting airline profitability. Regulation. Airlines are subject to extensive regulation, including safety and security requirements, which can add operational costs. Competition. The airline industry is highly competitive, with many players operating in the market. Competition can lead to price wars and reduced profit margins. Operational challenges. Airlines face operational challenges, including maintenance, scheduling, and workforce management, which can impact cost and profitability. Pricing strategy, airlines often use dynamic pricing strategy that can affect their profit margins. Prices for air tickets can vary widely based on factors like demand, time of booking, and seat class. In summary, Honorable Speaker, while airlines provide essential transportation services, their profit margins are typically lower compared to many other industries, and their profitability is subject to a range of external factors and competitive pressure. Additionally, IATA indicates that the global airline industry is expected to return to profitability in 2024, but financial performance across regions remain diverse. The industry financials are improving in all regions from the COVID-related depths of 2020, although not all regions are expected to deliver a profit this year. Africa remains a difficult market in which to operate an airline with economic infrastructure and connectivity challenges impacting the industry performance. Nonetheless, despite the challenges, there is still robust demand for air travel in the region, which underpins the continued move towards return to overall industry profitability. Kenya Airways' current performance for financial year 2024 projections are predicated on this forecast, and Kenya Airways targets to return to profitability in financial year 2024 as depicted in the table below. Mr. Speaker, the table below shows also the loans acquired by Kenya Airways, and I'm sure the Honourable Senator can read from the GOK loans. You can see what we've been giving Kenya Airways, including the 10 billion we gave as soon as the government came to office. I wish to inform the House that Kenya Airways was not the only recipient of the government assistance. Specifically to cope with the negative impact of COVID-19, various governments in Africa and outside Africa have provided direct support to the airlines. They include Senegal, $128 million, relief package for its tourism and air transport sector. Seychelles waived all landing and parking fees for the period from April to December 2020, and Cote d'Ivoire waived in tourism tax for transit passengers. In addition, other governments that provided fiscal support to their travel and tourism sectors are shown below. From Egypt to Ghana to Zambia to Cameroon, we've given that list. Technically, it is worth noting that KQ has no loan facility from the Export-Import Bank of the United States of America. The U.S. Exim Bank is a guarantor of a facility of $841.6 million to procure 6 787 aircraft on one 777-300 range aircraft and one Jenks engine. This is 90% of the total facility of the $924 million provided by Citibank and JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA. Mr. Speaker, table below gives a detailed overview of the firms contracted to provide services. Mackenzie, Mr. Speaker, operational support in Project Safari.
Just pause a bit. What is your intervention, Senator Fernandez?
Mr. Speaker, since I have the answer and I've gone through it, to assist the House to move fast. Okay. If members want to...
The response has been circulated to honorable senators.
Yes, that is what I wanted to assist the House to move fast, Mr. Speaker, sir. Would it be in order I ask my 2 supplementary questions so that we make progress as a House? Would that be better?
You will proceed to ask question number 12, number 13, and thereafter you will...
So I ask the 4 supplementary questions?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, since you have given guidance, so let me say,
Mr. Speaker, for the record, I think it's important for the Hansard. You just say that in terms of the farms contracted, I just read the farms. I don't need to read what they do.
Okay.
Mackenzie was contracted in 2015.
If you can paraphrase...
I don't need to paraphrase the rest, Mr. Speaker. I just read the names.
Great.
Proceed, the farms contracted are 3. Mr. Speaker, for 2015 to 2016 is Mackenzie. For 2016, PJT Partners. And 2020, Seabury. I think that is all I can say, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. No. Mr. Speaker, there is an important answer, if I may, with your permission, that I'm sure even the public will be very happy to know. That's the last only one paragraph that is related to the grounded airlines.
Senator Sifuna, what is your intervention? Certainly it cannot be a point.
Mr. Speaker, you know the CS insisted on giving us the name of the contractors. But my document says McKinsey. Yes, it says McKinsey here, Mr. Speaker, on the document. He has told us Mackenzie. I don't know if they are the same.
Honorable CS, can you clarify that?
Mr. Speaker, let me just refer back to the document. Yes, correct, it's McKinsey. Thank you, it's McKinsey. Because there is another firm called McKinsey, so that's where the... No, not the person. There's a firm called McKinsey. Mr. Speaker, let me just... Mr. Speaker, I just want to read this statement regarding, there have been public debate about a plane that we donated, so it's important to read it for the record. KQ has not grounded any aircraft, 5YKZJ, which is as Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Took some time undergoing heavy maintenance because of unavailability of many essential and critical components parts in the aircraft market. These shortages are well published in the industry. 5YKQG and 5YKQH are or were two Boeing B737-700 aircraft in the KQ fleet under the operating lease arrangement. Upon the end of the lease, the lessors, owners of the aircraft, decommissioned the aircraft. Mr. Speaker, it's important for those who may be new to the industry, is that when some of the planes that are owned or run by airlines are not necessarily owned by the airlines. They are under operating lease. And Mr. Speaker, upon the end of the lease, the lessors themselves decommissioned the aircraft, salvaged valuable components from the two aircraft, removed what they thought is important, and transferred what was remained of the aircraft to KQ at zero cost. The authority to remove parts was probably vested on the lessors being the owners of the aircraft. The two aircraft, having been decommissioned and stripped by the owners for parts, had therefore only one viable use as mock-ups in training. So 5YKQG was thus transferred to Kenya Airways Training School, Pride Center, and if you visit it, for use in cabin crew emergency training, practical aviation security training, and in-flight service training as for mock training. As part of its CSR training, KQ donated 5YKQH on as is basis to Mangu High School for their training. Mangu is the only public high school with a well-developed flying school and club, and it provides a pool of skills sets that fits into the KQ workforces. All these were procedurally approved by KQ Board of Directors. The estimate value of these two decommissioned aircraft is nothing more than their scrap value. Mr. Speaker, I was in the donation. I was invited to participate in the donation as a chief guest. The students were extremely excited. Mr. Speaker, this was nothing except for scrap value. And if you go to Kitengela, you will find somebody running a restaurant there called 034 with a plane being the restaurant. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't mean that that's a plane which should have been flying cargo. So I think it's also important to make this abundantly clear to the public, because a statement was issued by a member of parliament in the past to say that we were donating a plane that would have brought billions of dollars. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Nandi, proceed to ask question number 12.
Mr. Speaker, I proceed with my supplementary?
No.
Okay.
Question number 12.
Question number 12. Mr. Speaker, sir, question number 012. Question 1, when will the ongoing project for the expansion of Karenga Airstrip in Kericho County be completed? Number 2, Mr. Speaker, what is the total budgetary allocation for the project, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed breakdown of the expenditures incurred so far? And number C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a detailed assessment of the quality of the works for the project, stating what the government is doing to hold accountable the contractor and any other individuals responsible for any identified lapses? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. Question number 12.
Mr. Speaker, this is a more straightforward answer, so I'll just read the answers. Mr. Speaker, the request to undertake the refurbishment of Karenga airstrip emanated from the National Celebrations Technical Committee during their visit to Kericho on 15th of June 2023 to assess the status of the facility in the county in readiness for the Mashujaa Day following the presidential directive to hold the celebrations in Kericho. Refurbishment of the airstrip involved upgrading the runway to Maram standards and construction of an open steel frame shed to facilitate movement of guests during the celebrations. The works were successfully completed on 18th of October 2023, 2 days before 18th of October 2023. Mr. Speaker, the project total cost to date is 55.4 million shillings, for which 45.4 million is for the clearing, stripping, and grading for the runway, as well as related drainage works, including the construction of an aircraft holding 100 meters by 50 meters apron, and Kenya shillings 10 million for the building of an open steel frame shed. Honorable Speaker, no lapses were experienced during the execution of this project. The work was completed in compliance with the bill of quantities, specifications, and the drawings. The project manager's successive approval were done up until the completion of the works. The ministry is negotiating with the landowners to sell land to Kenya Airports Authority for development of the airstrip. Though the ministry has challenges with the land ownership of the moment, the project will be completed once the land is acquired. The minister has also had full consultation with the leaders of Kericho on this very important matter. Mr. Speaker, just for emphasis, this Karenga airstrip land is owned by Ekatera, the owners of the T estate. And so even when we developed it, it was in the understanding that we will have to engage them to complete the works. We worked with the Kenya Defense Forces, who are the contracted, they were actually the contractors to construct the runway to Maram standard, and as you saw, it was useful for the celebrations. Going forward, we intend to acquire at least 50 to, if possible, 100 acres of that land so that we do a proper airport that will enable agricultural farmers there and people traveling to Kericho and its environs to be able to land in that place and take off from that Kericho. I want to thank the leaders of Kericho, led by the majority leader here, for their support, understanding, and also for the work we are doing together quietly, Mr. Speaker, to acquire the land. The problem with such infrastructure, when you come to Parliament or public and announce that we are looking for land, usually the prices shoot up, it's inflated. The good news is that we are discussing this with already an established investor. So we have made it clear to the investor that land acquisition will be on fairly concessional terms, considering that they are also leaseholders from the government of Kericho County. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fernandi, proceed to ask question number 13.
Mr. Speaker, sir, question number 013, question 1, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on all projects from the construction and upgrade of roads undertaken by national government in Nandi County since 2013, explaining any discrepancies between the contractual and actual dates of completion? But B, Mr. Speaker, what are the reasons for the delay in resuming construction of Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Chomisha, Chemuswa, Chomisia, Danger Road, Timboroa, Maraba, Kopere Road, Mugundoi, Nandi Hills Road, Nandi Hills, Simaki Road, Lesos, Keses, Cheptiret, and Cheptiret to Lone Moi University roads in Nandi County, which have stalled? And could the Cabinet Secretary also outline steps taken by the government to expedite the resumption and completion of these projects, Mr. Speaker, sir? I thank you.
Honorable Sears, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that I'm responding to this question, having given a global picture of the roads in the country. So already I had shared with you the situation in the country, thanks to the question from the Deputy Speaker. So I'll just go straight to the answer. I wish to state that 183 kilometers of roads have been upgraded to bitumen standard, with 2 major bridges constructed to completion in Nandi County since 2013, undertaken by Kenya Rural Roads Authority. Details of the projects are detailed in the annex. Concerning discrepancy between the contractual and actual dates of completion, I wish to state that the ministry has faced financial challenges in the funding, as I earlier indicated, due to inadequate allocation and disbursement from the National Treasury over the years. This has culminated in the accumulation of significant pending bills from certified works. Contractors have consequently been reluctant to complete the works in the affected projects, citing non-payment of their dues. The government, through the National Treasury, is working on the mechanism to facilitate significant reduction of our clearing of pending bills in the near future. This will result in the full resumption of completion of affected projects countrywide. Roads under the jurisdiction of Kenya in Nandi County have been managed through performance-based maintenance contracts and routine maintenance contracts, depending on the planned intervention and available resources. The agency is currently managing 10 ongoing maintenance contracts in the county. 9 of the maintenance projects are administered by the Western Region Office, situated in Kakamega. 1 project is administered in the North Rift Regional Office. That's the routine maintenance and support improvement of JN A8 Eldoret Kapsabet Road, which is commenced on 8th March 2024 and is scheduled to end on 4th September 2024 with a contract sum of 38,218,314. The road is 40 kilometers long, but only 22 of it's in Nandi County, i.e. from the Mlango to Chebarbara. Lastly, the roads done under the jurisdiction of the Kenya Urban Roads are indicated in the table below. That is, we are upgrading to bitumen standards the Kamobo Baraton University Road, performance-based routine maintenance of Kapsabet Municipality, Nandi, which are 1, 2, 3, 4 in Kapsabet, and then routine maintenance of package 5 roads in Kapsabet again, 5 and 6. And then upgrading, Mr. Speaker, of Mosoriot Township, 5.3 kilometers. What are the reasons for delay in the resumption of the other roads, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, for the Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Timbaroa, Maraba, Kopere road, this road, Mr. Speaker, when I came to office, is part of the 8 roads that we discussed with the agency and terminated their contract for non-performance because they had been awarded earlier in 2016 and nothing had happened for the entire period. Those roads are in Nandi, Meru, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kisii, Homa Bay, and Makueni. There are 8 roads, and I have the tabulation I can share to the House. Mr. Speaker, the project commenced, the one for Kaiboi, Chepterwai, Kapkatembu, Timbaroa, all these roads, the project commenced in February 2017 and was to be completed in February 2021. The contract has since been mutually terminated due to contractual challenges. To enable timely delivery, the works were split into 2 lots, repackaged and retendered. The contracts were awarded on 14th March 2024 and are expected to be signed within the next 28 days as per the law, upon submission of the requisite securities by the contractors. The contractors will be then mobilized and commence works with immediate effect. On the Chemuswa, Danger, Moi University, the Chemuswa, Danger, the Nandi Hills, Imaki, Lesos, Cheptiret, and the Cheptiret Moi University roads. These are parts of the ongoing roads, Mr. Speaker, which has faced challenges of completion. The project was originally scheduled for completion in August 2020, long time ago, but this has since been revised to August 2025 due to inadequate budgetary allocation that have led to the contractor being unable to complete the projects due to cash flow challenges. Mr. Speaker, just for the comfort of the other senators who may not have asked a similar question, this is what I told you earlier, that in the entire country, about 60 billion shillings is spending in Kera roads, from Mombasa to Malaba, from Lokichokio to Loitoktok. All of them suffer this kind of consequences, Mr. Speaker. That's why I told you I had to read the global statement so that even those who will ask follow-up questions appreciate that the circumstance under which we are operating is a very poor budgetary allocation. Mr. Speaker, the last part is the Mugundoi Nandi Hills Road was proposed for upgrading to bitumen standards through, though we have been maintaining the road to achieve motorability utilizing 22% of the fuel levy funds. I acknowledge the completion of the Timbaroa, Mateitei, Seko, Kopere Road have faced significant delays due to contractual challenges caused by inadequate budget allocation. The contractor achieved 47 kilometers of tarmac, but was unable to complete the total contracted 94 kilometers of roads despite numerous interventions. Consequently, the ministry, in consultation with the Office of the Attorney General, mutually terminated the contract on 28th of August 2023. This paved way for the retendering of the remainder of the works advertised on 27 October 2023. To enable timely delivery, the works were split into 2 slots, repackaged and retendered. The contract was awarded on 14th March 2024 and are expected to be signed in 28 days, as I said earlier. Contractor will be required to mobilize and commence immediately. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Kisumu, proceed to ask question 010.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I go right to ask question number 010. And the question is addressed to the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. Could the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport provide comprehensive data and records on road accidents involving tractors transporting sugarcane from farms to factories in sugarcane growing areas in Kisumu County since 2017? Part 2, how many of these accidents are attributable to unroadworthy tractors and competence of tractor drivers? Third, what is the government doing to strengthen and streamline regular monitoring and enforcement of licensing of tractor drivers as well as the inspection of tractors? And the last part, Mr. Speaker, sir, is what measures are in place to ensure proper maintenance of roads in sugarcane growing areas? And could the Cabinet Secretary state plans to compensate persons affected by road accidents involving these tractors? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the total number of farm tractors presented for post-accident inspection are as tabulated below. In 2019, it was 7, 2020, 9, 2021, 9, 2022, 3, 2023, 4, and so far in this year, 1. For the period of 2019 to 2024, the total number of defective tractors were 9. The ministry, through its implementing agency, NTSA, conducts road safety sensitization forums quarterly with cane processing factories operating within the Kisumu County and its environs. These factories include Kibos Sugar and Allied Company Limited in Kisali, West Kenya Sugar Company, Kabras, Chemelil Sugar Company, Moroni Sugar Company, and Butali Sugar Mills. Following a meeting of the Kisumu County Transport and Safety Committee held on 5th July 2023, It was noted that most accidents involving cane trucks were due to the following reasons: poor visibility of cane truck drivers on the road, as most trucks lack chevron and proper lighting equipment; failure to observe operating hours. No sugarcane trucks shall be allowed on the road before 6 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Most drivers freewheel, especially when approaching a flyover, to gain momentum to move uphill, resulting in accidents. For example, the Kasagam flyover, where several sugarcane trucks have rolled over due to freewheeling. These facilities have been designed to be navigated at a certain speed. For example, the maximum speed of the Kasagam flyover is 40 kilometers per hour. Thus, a driver going at any speed above the limit is at risk of causing accidents. There is need for drivers to undergo road safety training and defensive driving skills, frequent breakdowns and delays in attending to stalled trucks on highways. In order to address the issue raised about safety matters, the Ministry has scheduled sensitization activities on sugar transporters and farmers beginning this month. Proper secure cane loading on tractor trailers to minimize obstruction, ensure visibility, and prevent spillage on carriageways. Settling and enforcing operating hours for cane collection points from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Additionally, the NTSA conducts free inspection clinics for farm tractors to cane collection points. This is done to ensure tractors have properly mounted retro-reflective chevron. Furthermore, NTSA conducts joint operation with traffic police to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, the NTSA have designated the roads in sugarcane growing areas under performance-based contracts and routine maintenance contracts, whose specifications include, but are not limited to, the following: clearing any debris on the carriageway, drop-offs from sugarcane trucks, sealing of emerging potholes on the carriageway, desilting road drainage systems on the obstruction, road marking to enhance road safety. That must be Kena. Yeah, sorry, I read that NTSA, but it's Kena actually, Mr. Speaker. Please correct the report accordingly, the document accordingly, Senator Professor Gender. It is supposed to be Kena as designated. Axle loading control to curb loading, pavement strengthening on need-to basis to accommodate sugarcane traffic loading. Roads in Western Kenya region include Kakamega, Kiboswa, Kakamega, Webuye, Kitale, Ekero, Mayoni, Mbwekas, and Ebuyangu, Ekero. Roads in Nyanza region include Ewasi, Nandi Hills, Moroni, Fortenan, Hawasi, Katito, Awendo, Mariwa, Kilgoris, Rongo, Homa Bay, Ranen, Chamkiwadu, to Kenyanya, Rodi, Kopany, Tundiwa, Katiko, Kendu Bay, Homa Bay, and Mamboleo, Kiboswa. Additionally, the ministry through Kenya has conducted stakeholders engagement with sugarcane transporters and interested stakeholders and sensitized them on adherence to acceptable rear top on side of vehicle distance limits when carrying sugarcane as per the Traffic Act guidelines. This aimed at minimizing accidents caused by reduced visibility to other motorists due to improper packaging of sugarcane. Effects of overloading on the carriageway. Procedure of obtaining permits from NTSA under special cases of cane transportation. Need for proper packaging for sugarcane on trucks to minimize drop-offs and littering on the carriageway to minimize maintenance cost. Mr. Speaker, this statement is coming at a time when we have unfortunately lost a number of people yesterday and the day before on road accidents, including students of Kenyatta University, and including also the accident that happened in Olenguruoni, Silibwet Road, and the other one that happened in Moroni. Mr. Speaker, road accidents is becoming a threat to our national health system. In fact, we are speaking with Honorable Nakumicha, the CS Health, about the impact of such accidents on our health facilities. Mr. Speaker, just let me use this moment, because I've got this opportunity through this August House, to condole with the families that were affected. And number two, Mr. Speaker, to assure the public that the directive that President Uhuru Kenyatta vacated in 2018, that made it impossible for us in the transport sector and NTSA particularly to be on the road to do enforcement, is now revisited. And together with Professor Kindiki in Interior, we will bring back the collaborative effort that required some of the traffic police officers to be seconded to NTSA for proper enforcement. Because, Mr. Speaker, we were left to what you saw me reading here, you know, sensitization, setting the standards. But, Mr. Speaker, even though the Act permits enforcement, on the ground, Mr. Speaker, government decision was made to leave that enforcement only to the traffic police. I believe the new direction will help us to be able to deal with this menace. But last, Mr. Speaker, just to emphasize, even this tractor menace, including driving on the roads, Mr. Speaker, the statistics show that most of the accidents are as a result of drivers' behavior. Mr. Speaker, when I announced last year that the drivers will be retested and that you will not get a certificate, the driving license retested, there was hue and cry. And many people say that we were oppressing drivers. But everybody goes through retesting. Lawyers go through every year through training. Doctors do the same. Mr. Speaker, drivers who are carrying human life should be retested so that we know those who are competent. We test even up to their alcohol content and the drug abuse possibilities among the drivers. These are things that we should support as people of Kenya. The last thing is that as individuals and citizens, Mr. Speaker, citizen responsibility is extremely important. The matatu that got an accident in the Silibwet Road, Olengurwani Silibwet Road, Mr. Speaker, had 24 people, which is 10 people extra. And it was carrying 4 bags of maize. That, Mr. Speaker, by the time the 15th person, the 16th person, the 17th person, the 18th person was boarding that matatu, they knew, of course, that it was overloaded. And, Mr. Speaker, we cannot act as citizens that we are ignorant of the fact that you sit in a car, the driver is drunk or overspeeding or it's already overloaded. We also need to take responsibility ourselves as passengers, but more importantly, those who are sitting behind the wheel. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Bungoma, you may proceed to ask question number 031.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is as follows. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for the rehabilitation and expansion of Luahaha, Chwele, Kimilili, Kamkuyu Road to accommodate the increasing traffic, including heavy trucks plying the route? B, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the progress made in acquiring land for the expansion of the said road, stating the due diligence followed and the timelines for expansion of residents whose land will be acquired for the project? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ministry, through the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, upgraded to bitumen standards the sections of Luakaga, Chwele, Kimilili, Kamkuyu Road, namely the Luakaga, Korosiondet, Tulienge, Sirisha, Namuela, Chwele Road, as part of the low-volume seal roads program. And if the senator was to go even further in his question, he will notice that the road is wearing out. It's one of those roads I was talking about, the low-volume seal roads. The 30-kilometer section, which is under Kera, was completed in 2019, providing access to the Oaxaca border point, thereby offering alternative route to Uganda. The completion of the road consequently attracted heavy cross-border traffic, which accelerated its deterioration and raises the need for redesigning and upgrading of the road to commensurate standards that can accommodate the resultant traffic. The proposal for the expansion of the road and its reconstruction, which is projected to include land acquisition due to narrow existing 25-meter corridor, will be forwarded to the National Treasury and presented to Parliament for budgetary consideration alongside other economically significant projects countrywide. The section traversing Kamukuywa, Kimilili, Chwele is currently under rehabilitation works under KENA through hybrid performance-based contract. The scope of the rehabilitation works include road shoulder reinstatement through benching and graveling, reconstruction of base layer and asphalt concrete overlay to selected failed sections, drainage works, including construction of additional access to culverts, lining of side drains, and installation of gabions. Surface dressing to improve on riding surface attrition and seal the carriageway. Road marking and installation, replacement of damaged, vandalized traffic signs. To date, the road shoulders have been reinstated and the current way is free of potholes. The agency is aware of the increased traffic along the route and that is necessitates pavement structured upgrade and expansion works which shall be executed upon availability of funds. The land acquisition process for the Kamukuywa Kimilili section and Kimilili Chwele was completed in 1974 by increasing the road reserve to 60 meters and 40 meters respectively. Some market centers have a road reserve of 25 meters as specified in Gazette number volume this of 46 of 27 of 1974. The ministry is currently not undertaking any land acquisition on the Luakaka, Korosionde to Lienge, Sirisha, Namuela, Chwele Road. This is because as part of the low volumes seal roads program strategy, roads were deliberately constructed within the existing corridor to eliminate the need for land acquisition, which could require compensation and thus inflate the overall project cost. Just to emphasize this, Mr. Speaker, this is an alternative route, international route. We have, when we are done with the process that is ongoing, we want to transfer this road to Kenya because of it is a highway now. It's moved to a highway so that it can be constructed to highway standards, but also with proper border post, an alternative border post in the Luakaga-Chwele Road. Mr. Speaker, the leaders of Bungoma, from the governor to the senator to the MPs, have been very particular about it, and I promise them that in the next financial year, we'll find resources under Kenya. First, we'll make sure that transfer will have been done from Kera to Kenya, and then from there, we will be able to make sure that we put weighbridge in that section, but also we improve it to Kenya standards. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gathuri, do you have any supplementary questions? Proceed.
Honourable Speaker, my question was on the national pending bills across the two institutions. Mr. Speaker, my concern is the interest that are accruing, especially with Kenya, because as the CS has put it, this is 87 billion pending bills, and the interest is 4 billion. So, Mr. Speaker, my concern is that we have so many loans which are dilapidated. And if we are paying this interest, then, Mr. Speaker, this is the money which should be going to maintain such loans as the CS has put it. So, the issue is delayed funding from the exchequer. Mr. Speaker, because we are planning as a country and as a government, my issue was, why is the delay in exchequer release? Because some of these loans, most of them are funded through the exchequer, Mr. Speaker. So what plan maybe if, because the CS is saying it needs 150, 160 billion to carry out the pending bills. If we doesn't get them the next 1 year, does it mean that we are going again to 6 billion interest, Mr. Speaker? And the second one was about the maintenance of roads, Mr. Speaker. My issue is we have invested a lot in these roads. And once we fail to maintain, we are losing that investment, Mr. Speaker. Like where I come from, we have a very busy road called Chogoria Marimba Meru Road. This road was built by European Union to support the tea factories across that belt. But, Mr. Speaker, this road is never maintained. There are heaps of soils. Once it rains, there is a lot of soil which piles on that particular road, Mr. Speaker. And I've addressed it. And Mr. Speaker, even though that we have no money for doing new roads and these other things, Honorable CS, when some of us lied to the ministry requesting for support, you know, we have been around for some time, Mr. Speaker, and some of us have no vested interest on what happens when we make our requests. But I want to really request the ministry that even though we are not in the National Assembly, because we are representing people, when we make interventions through the ministry for particular roads, Mr. Speaker, you saw me working on potholes in Meru County because of the Meru-Nairobi Highway, because the road maintenance was poor. So when some of us lied to the ministry requesting for specific interventions, I want to request the ministry on record today that they shouldn't be listening to some of us. We are Hyundais, Inchurinchek Hyundais. And once I tell you something, as our CS, as our PS, you must know this thing is coming from the kingdom of Meru.
What is your question, Honorable Kathuri?
What I was saying is that the CS should try and maintain especially the national highways, Mr. Speaker, and then any interventions that we put across is that those interventions are not coming from me, but from the great people of Meru, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Unfortunately, the Honorable Senator is done. Proceed as CS. If you picked any questions from that long
Mr. Speaker, I share the same concerns with the Honorable Senator and the Deputy Speaker. You see, if you have interest now, I need to add for your record that it is 6 billion in Kera. So you have 6 billion in Kera, 4 billion in Kura, 4 billion in Kena, and 18 million in Kura. Those are interest only. But there is something else that I wish I had added, claims, which we cannot define at the moment, because the contractor is claiming the machines were on site. I need another mobilization money to come there. The fuel prices have changed. So protracted pending bills, like the ones we have done from 2017, 2016, 2017 to now, is causing us problems. Two things. One, because you have the legislative mandate on roads, equal legislative mandate to National Assembly. I think we need to provide a cap similar to Induplam rule, that even if you are going to ask for interest, it should not be more than twice, on your claims, must not be more than twice the cost of the road. And I'm telling you, Senator, for Meru, I wish I had brought this example here of one contractor who, by going to court, we had paid the contractor up to 8 billion of a bill of 9 billion. The balance, the 8 point something, the balance was about 300 million. But he was awarded by court another extra 3 billion. So I'm asking myself, when a judge is sitting there and awarding an extra 3 billion, where does he think the money comes from? And how are we going to build the roads? So there must be legislative guidance. And I think it will be incumbent upon us as ministry to provide this. Number two, if we were adhering to the procurement law, you see, this is where the problem is. The parliament provides the budget, okay, in the beginning. Then the agency is told, now procure based on that budget. Then towards the end of the year, through supplementary, the budget is reduced. We started this year, for example, development budget at 63. We are now ending at 46, okay? There's still a couple of 20-something billion shillings. Now that, for the last 7-8 years, we've been providing 5 billion when the agencies are asking for 100. We provide 100 in the beginning of the financial year, and then we create a gap. That is why we have so many, because that's the question anyone should ask themselves. How come, despite the legislative, procurement law, how come we have this level of pending bills, yet our procurement law says, don't procure what you don't have? This is the challenge we have. And as we continue, if there is a big challenge in this government, is to deal with the nearly 700 billion of pending bills in the road sector. And I don't know which formula we will use to sort it in the next 4 years. But I promise, and the promise of this government is to find ways of reducing it significantly so that people can get at least 2,000-3,000 kilometers of the roads completed. On the other issue of maintenance, it's the same situation applies. I said I'll come back with a policy position on how to increase the resources for maintenance. So that then, as we discussed with you, this Chwele Road, for example, Wakaga Road, and the ones in your county like Kipia, all these other roads, under low volume seal. We are negotiating with the National Assembly so that the Constituency Roads Committee can vacate the 10% that is for Kera to come back to maintain those roads to start with. Even if it's not enough, at least we will salvage the worst roads in the country. If we don't do that, we'll build from zero. Some of the contracts were given 2017. Now the contractor is on a pending bill. He has a pending bill. He's not completed the pending bill. The road. The part that he started with is already finished. So the part that started is finished. The road is not completed. And that's a real problem. Now, Senator, Deputy Speaker, there is no senator under. That was my position as a senator. That was my position as majority leader in this House. It remains my position as a minister. There is no senator who does not have mandate over oversight of any part of a function in the national government in his role of representation of the people of his county. So you shouldn't sound like you are apologetic for raising road issues in your county. You are not. That's why I'm here. If you didn't have the mandate, I would not be here. So the point is that the questions raised by senators or members of National Assembly is treated equally when it comes to responding to the status of the roads. And in my office, it doesn't matter. That is why, you know, Senator, you are in my office. When you came to the office, we look at the roads in Meru. You came, all of you, as leaders of the county, and we looked at it, all of us as leaders of the county. Even a governor raising a question about the road will not be ignored, despite the fact that they don't sit in any House of Parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fernandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I shall take the omnibus of my 3 questions, and I will be very brief and precise with an eye of military marksman. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, question number 3 on the performance of KQ and donation, the answer is not satisfactory to me. So my 2 supplementary questions. 1, can the cabinet minister provide performance acceptance deferred defects that should show performance acceptable technical log with the dates and past log, and leases of the said aircrafts and ownership? Question number 2 on that question supplementary. Mr. Speaker, on the consultants, the CS has strategically omitted the presence of 2 consultants. 1 is the Steer Group, and 2 is the famous Polish 5. So the CS should provide that. On question number 2, supplementary question number 2 on Kerenga airstrip, I will only take 1 supplementary on that. Can the CS confirm that as Kerenga airstrip as it is in Kericho County, it is only graded? So planes tend to get stuck. Does it mean that you will never put it up to bitumen standards? And finally, on question number 3, question number 1 on supplementary, when is he doing reclassification, redesign, and expansion of Eldoret, Bosoriat, Kapsabet, Chafakali, Shamakoko, and Awasi Road? That is supplementary question number 1 on that final question. And finally, Mr. Speaker, when is the CS doing physical visit to assess deplorable roads conditions that I've mentioned above, and he did mention above, and direct maintenance of these roads before rains begin? My cue, the CS has made more visits to Nandi to attend funerals and other social functions, but has not found it necessary to visit these roads physically and verify. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable CS, keep it brief.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, the question of performance of the airplanes, the Honorable Senator says he's not satisfied. If he's not satisfied, Mr. Speaker, I will ask the owners of the plane so that they can engage with the Senator for satisfaction. Answer, therefore, as to unsatisfaction of the Cabinet Secretary on a private owned plane, I don't think is in the best interest of the country. The best interest of the country is to ask things that are owned by the agency. So, Mr. Speaker, I will treat it as such. Mr. Speaker, there are other two groups that the Senator referred to. I don't remember. I had Steer Group and one more. For? Polish 5. Mr. Speaker, I am glad that the Senator is appraised of that matter. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I don't need to provide any other supplementary answer because he already has an extra two companies. He's more aware than myself on that issue, Mr. Speaker. On the third issue, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, CS. Proceed.
On the third issue, Mr. Speaker, of Karenga airstrip, if the Senator had followed the answer, he asked the same question that I already answered. I answered, Mr. Speaker, that we are in the process of acquiring the land first so that the Karenga airstrip can be built to levels required of an airstrip in our republic. And Mr. Speaker, His Excellency, none other than His Excellency the President is helping us to speak to Eketera, to negotiate together with our brothers in the lands ministry to negotiate the land. And Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record to thank the Senator of Kericho because the majority leader, why he's not asking this question is because he's in the middle of this discussion and is helping facilitate the discussion to get the land from the Eketera itself. And I appreciate senators who are that proactive, Mr. Speaker, because if he had chosen, he would have possibly, majority leader would have possibly come here with a question. But instead, he came to my office, and we are working together to acquire the land. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of reclassification of Eldoret Nandi roads, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the design is ongoing in terms of widening Eldoret Nandi road. Mr. Speaker, from actually Eldoret to Kapsabet is a bit congested, and particularly as you exit Nairobi, Eldoret from both sides. Mr. Speaker, design is going on from all angles of Eldoret town to see if we can do all the roads. And Mr. Speaker, there is also a bigger, wider program that I explained earlier, which is from Rironi to Mau Summit, that, Mr. Speaker, will facilitate also expanding the roads in this highway. Mr. Speaker, I want to commensurate with Senator Cherargei for losing so many people in this county, and sadly people who are known to me, and which forced me to go for the funerals. So I commensurate with him and his family, and the family of the lost people who lost their lives, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that God can protect as many of my friends as possible so that I don't need to go for funerals in Nandi. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Kisumu.
Mr. Speaker, I have a supplementary question to the Minister. And, Mr. Speaker, this will focus on an area he touched on the role of NTSA in the registration of motor vehicles, because in his response he talked about a role that NTSA plays. I want the Minister to clarify to Kenyans on the functioning of the e-citizen platform. Mr. Speaker, in the last few months there have been complaints in the public regarding the transfer of motor vehicles and logbooks, and I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary will have this occasion to respond to Kenyans, explain to Kenyans whether there's something wrong with the system and when that problem will be fixed. Mr. Speaker, sir, this supplementary question comes in the wake of the Minister visited NTSA in September last year and addressed specific concerns.
Honorable Senator, just ask your question.
Yes.
And let the CS.
Can the Minister tell the public what measures he has taken to ensure that the e-citizen platform that touches on the functions of the NTSA operates without a hitch? so that Kenyans are able to transact easily through this platform and their transactions are complete. Mr. Speaker, this is important, and this is just as I close off.
It is okay. The CS has heard your question.
Yes.
Allow him to respond.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Respond, Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, we have been undertaking a process of data migration from the platform that we used to operate to the e-citizen platform. This has necessitated these delays, and it is true. I owned up to it to the public also that there are delays because of the movement to the e-citizens. We were also building a new platform for reasons that I will share in the future once security-related processes that are ongoing is complete. Now I can assure the people of Kenya that the system is up and running. It may experience some itches because we are still in that process of maintenance and seeing how it performs, but we will make sure, Mr. Speaker, that we have put in place officers who are on standby to make sure that if the system fluctuates, we make sure that we respond immediately. But it's also true that there are many Kenyans who have not collected both their logbooks and the driving license and the plates. A number of them, just because they may not be aware, we have built in a SMS system that reminds the citizens that your application is complete and that your document is ready. So I hope the people of Kenya will take advantage of the same and to come and pick their documents. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask one supplementary question, follow-up question to question 013 and 015, as asked by Senator Murungi and Senator Charagay. Mr. Speaker, in light of the recent tragic events along the Maralal-Baragoi Southern Road, which has claimed several lives, including the life of Honorable Paul Leshimbro, MCA for Angata Nanyeke Ward, that is on banditry. Mr. Speaker, sir, currently there is a banditry attack on the same road, that is Maralal-Baragoi Road, and a teacher is injured, one Mr. Lekupe, and is now being rushed to Maralal County Referral Hospital for medical attention. So, Mr. Speaker, on this regard, I would like to inquire about the status of the upgrading of Maralal-Baragoi Southern Road to bitumen standards, stating when the upgrading process will commence, confirmation of the budgetary allocation and measures taken to ensure that the safety of road users in the interim, given the increased risk of banditry in the area due to the status of this road. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, I sympathize with my friend, Senator Lelegwe, Senator Dr. Lelegwe, on this situation. We were with him in another function where the governor spoke about it also emotionally. The road from Maralal to Baragoi is 100 kilometers, Mr. Speaker. And 100 kilometers is not easy to tarmac in such areas. But it is also scientifically proven that when the roads are paved, it improves security issues. That is the true in the northern part of the country. That's true in sites of Turkana. Mr. Speaker, we have a plan to make sure that we improve this road of Maralal-Baragoi. We have a road from Churo, Amaya, through this Tangul Bay up to Laikipia, where Senator John comes from. The road also from Baringo there up to Turkana through Loruk to Lokichar. Mr. Speaker, as part of key security issues to deal with security problems in the country, I have told the Kenya to work on designs on all these key security roads that help us to deal with banditry in Kerio Valley. And our hope is that because of the budgetary constraints, we want to work with some of our development partners, which Uma have mentioned too, to see if they can do what we are doing together in the northeastern part of the country, in the Kerio Valley region, as one way of opening the road. But in the interim, the senator and the leadership of the senator, Honorable Etipila, the governor, have all approached me to say we need perhaps a shorter measure in terms of maintenance of the road. This Friday, Mr. Speaker, I'll be visiting the area, and we will go with Senator Lelegwe and the other elected leaders in the place to see the status, and we are working in the office to get emergency resources to make sure that we maintain that place. We will also be working with Senator Kindiki, the CS Interior, to see how security will be provided to the contractors so that they quickly improve the road to make it a bit motorable and safe for people to drive a bit faster to evade the bandits. Mr. Speaker, it must also we must not lose the fact that the real problem is banditry, okay? The road network helps us is one of the ways of dealing with the effects of banditry. The government is doing everything possible, and the CS Interior has been there many times to deal with the question of banditry. And as a leader from that Kerio Valley region, I am very, very concerned, and we're working together to see what ways and how my ministry can contribute in combating this disease of banditry. I commiserate with my friend, Senator Lelekwe, for the loss of his friend, the MCA, and apologize to the people of Samburu and Kerio Valley region at large. And I hope that as the government, as we promised, we will deal with banditry with finality. I thank you.
Thank you, CS. There was a question number 15, which was asked by the senator for Kitui County, and he left the senator for Makueni County to what is belief. So can you ask his supplementary question, just one?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on question number 15, and in fact, 14, both of them came from the senator for Kitui.
15 only, he asked 14. He asked supplementary question
15.
14. Just under 15.
Yes, 15, there is Seikuru and Mutomo airstrips, and also the airstrip at Ithokwe. Those three airstrips, Mr. Speaker, are useful in case of medical emergency evacuations, and they have been in existence. And I understand, I heard the answer the minister gave. Could the minister indicate as to the plans of at least doing earthfill so that they can be used for emergency purposes while we await the major plan he has given us on that particular one? And finally, on the question number 14, which he had asked about the compensation in Kibwezi road all the way to Sekuru, could the minister, on that particular compensation, understanding that this was a company, a country-to-country dealing, is it possible then to have a PPP so that the residents from Kibwezi all the way to Sekuru can be compensated on the roads, land which was taken away from them, since the Constitution expects that, anticipates that the people should be compensated before the works begin?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Senator Manzo on the prompt and adequate compensation. And Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, we shouldn't be in this situation if we recast our budgetary approach. We shouldn't be able to be in this situation, but now we are because of how we are managing our budgetary process. I promise you that should the resources herein announced earlier, which is about 100 billion, be given to the road sector, I believe, Mr. Speaker, that we will be able to compensate those people who have stayed for long. For the airstrip, Seikuru airstrip, I agree. We should be, and I've consulted the MD who is sitting here next to me, we should be able to do the maintenance to a good gravel standard for the time being as we work on these contractual issues that we are dealing with. And I promise that we will do that. Thank you, Senator.
Next is Senator, who is this? Olekina Ledama. And Honorable Senators, Senator Ngirudia, why do you always like to be disorderly in this house? What I was saying is that we have another CS Education who is coming before the Senate to answer his questions. It's already 1:45 noon. So kindly indulge me to just get 2 senators from this side and 2 from this side, then we close this business.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, naweza endelea? May I proceed?
Yes, and already.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, asante kwa kunipa nafasi hii ili niweze kumuuliza Mheshimiwa Murkomen swali. Mheshimiwa Speaker, jumba letu la Seneti ni jumba ambalo zinahifadhi kumbukumbu na pia rekodi za kila jambo ambayo tunafanya hapa. Nikimnukuu Mheshimiwa Murkomen, wakati alipokuja hapa, alisema kwamba barabara kutoka Ngong mpaka Suswa, contractor atakwenda kule kwa wiki 2. Kwa sasa Mheshimiwa Speaker, imekuwa miezi 7 tangu Mheshimiwa Murkomen alipokuwa hapa. Je, kweli ikiwa kumbukumbu ile ambaye itahifadhiwa katika jumba letu la Seneti ni ile ya kusema ya kwamba contractor atakwenda katika wiki 2, na mpaka sasa hii barabara ambaye ni kilomita 6 peke yake imebaki iweze kumalizika, sehemu kidogo daraja, sehemu kidogo mahali ambapo kuna mawe ambayo inatakiwa iondolewe, ili tuwe tupate njia nyingine ambayo watu ambao wanayosafiri kwenda south, kusini, ambayo wanayekwenda Narok, wanayekwenda Migori, wanayekwenda Kisumu wanaweza kutumia. Mheshimiwa Speaker, ningemuomba
malizia swali yako.
Ningemuomba
moja kwa moja.
Mheshimiwa Murkomen akikumbuka kwamba akisimama hapa jumba hili zina kumbukumbu, aweze kutueleza ukweli ya kwamba hii barabara ya Suswa Ngong itamalizika lini.
Samahani Senator Redama, kuna hoja ya nidhamu kutoka kwa Senator wa Garissa.
Unajua Kiswahili wewe?
Asante Bwana Speaker. Umesikia Bwana Speaker mwenzangu akiuliza kama anajua Kiswahili. Kwani anamaanisha mimi si Mkenya? Swali aina gani hiyo Bwana Speaker? Bwana hoja si swali. Hoja yangu Bwana Speaker, nimemsikia akiongea vizuri sana hapa. Lakini anataka afafanue na tueleze kwa Kiswahili. Wiki 2 ni nini? Anamaanisha nini? Hiyo ndo swali yangu.
Senator Rendama Olekina, eleza mawiki 2.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, mwenzangu Mheshimiwa Senator Abdul ni mchungaji kama mimi. Mimi Swahili ilikuja na meli. Ama na nini? What do you call this train? Na reli. So mimi sitaki kupoteza swali langu Mheshimiwa Speaker, swali langu ni swali nyeti sana.
Sasa uliza swali moja kwa moja.
Swali yangu nimeuliza moja kwa moja.
Asante
Mheshimiwa Speaker kwa kunilinda. Mheshimiwa Murkomen alipokuja hapa alitueleza kwamba mkandarasi ataingia katika ile barabara kwa wiki 2. Je, hii kweli ni ungwana? Mpaka sasa miezi 7 hii barabara ambaye ni kilomita 6 peke yake.
Waziri amesikia. Waziri, jibu hilo swali.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni kweli kwamba nilisema kwa muda wa wiki 2 tutakuwa na mwanakandarasi atakuwa amerejea kufanya ile kazi ya barabara ya Suswa kwenda Ngong ama Ngong kwenda Suswa. Mheshimiwa Speaker, kwa sababu ambazo nimeeleza hapo awali, kulingana inahusiana na mambo ya kifedha na aswa mambo ya bajeti. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatukuweza kumrudisha ama kumrejesha ule mwanakandarasi arudi barabarani kwa sababu yeye alisema kwamba kati ya pesa ambazo hatujalipa ambayo ni milioni 600 alihitaji zaidi ya yale ambayo yaliwekwa kwa bajeti. Mheshimiwa Spika, ilitubidi tuendelee na mazungumzo na tuna imani ya kwamba hivi karibuni huyo contractor atarejea barabarani. Ninajichunga sana kwa sababu sitaki kurudia kusema wiki 2 kwa sababu siku hiyo alikuwa amekubali kurudi kwa wiki 2, lakini pia tulipatwa na shida ya kuisha wakati wa kandarasi, na sasa tumeandikishana pamoja na contractor na ataweza kurudi barabarani. Bwana Spika, nitumie nafasi hii kupongeza Mheshimiwa Ole Kina kwa sababu amekaa kitete kwa hii barabara. Na yeye amekataa kabisa. Mr. Speaker, amekataa kabisa Mr. Speaker. Na sio na yeye amekwama kwa hii barabara. Tangu tukue mashinani na yeye na tukiwa hapa kwa bunge, ninampongeza kwa sababu anaendelea kushikilia kusukuma barabara hiyo, lakini namuomba atupatie muda kidogo tu tutafute hiyo hela alafu tuweze tukarudisha huyo contractor. Na sio yeye peke yake. Senator wa Kisii, Senator wa Nyamira na viongozi kutoka sehemu hiyo na Bomet, Senator wa Bomet wamekuwa wakinisukuma kuhakikisha kwamba hiyo barabara inaweza kufunguliwa kwa sababu ile ya Mai Mahiu inawaletea shida kubwa sana. Asante sana.
Senator Bugwa, Mugai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like the Cabinet Secretary to tell this House what became of the road maintenance levy which used to go to the counties, and what happens to the pending bills which were awarded for the contracts and road maintenance levy by the counties, and the contractors have never been paid because the program is like suspended or something. Thank you.
Sorry, before the CS, what is your point of order, Senator Kinyu?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your decision of two senators from this side and 2 senators from that side, Mr. Speaker, I am not challenging your decision, but it's obvious we are the majority, Mr. Speaker. We should be given 3 senators and 2 senators from the other side, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Proceed, Senator Bugwa. Oh, okay, then respond, yes.
Mr. Speaker, it is not possible that any county incurred money under the road maintenance levy beyond a given financial year. Road maintenance levy is only capped for that financial year. So for the year that the county was given, that is the year they spent. The problem is that because it is not for construction, it's for maintenance. And maintenance is based on annual allocation. So it's not possible that there's a county that did the same. It would only have been possible if it was development money. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In exactly 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my supplementary question is actually very direct on the question that was asked the CS on what measures are in place to ensure that proper maintenance of roads in sugarcane growing regions are well maintained, and whether there is any plans to actually compensate all people affected during those road accidents. And Bwana CS, I know that you did indicate when you are
one question, candidate.
No, I was referring to the question. So my question is only one, that the CS had actually talked about the fact that there is no much money to be able to maintain these roads. I just wanted the CS to put a case for prioritization, to tell this House whether there's priority in terms of those roads, particularly the road in Migori, that comes from Migori town, coming all the way to Kisii, because that road, in particular, Bwana CS, has got no proper signages, has got no proper markings, and you can remember, CS, that last year it led to 2 serious accidents in town involving not only the sugarcane trucks, but also other trucks that rammed into the people in town because of lack of those demarcations on bumps, as well as proper signages on that particular road, Migori-Kisii Road. It's a major concern, and whether those people are going to be compensated, the people in those accidents can be compensated in Migori. Okay, thank you, CS.
CS.
The Speaker, on the maintenance, I had addressed that issue on the sugarcane growing areas, very important sector. Mr. Speaker, I think when we come with that policy that I said earlier of increasing the allocation, can you imagine that only 60 billion is chasing all the roads, Kena, Kura, and Kera? We will then be able to upscale our activities in terms of maintenance of the roads. Meanwhile, what is available now, we are using them. But also, because county collects cess from the sugar factories and farmers and all that, I think it's important also to put them under pressure to make sure that the other roads are maintained within the county. Senator Eddy is passionate about this issue, and he has discussed with me, Mr. Speaker, several occasions. I think what we need to do is to upscale also the civic education related issues, training and awareness for the owners and the tractor owners and the company owners. If the companies took responsibility for safety measures, not leave it to NTSA or to leave to the ministry, so that safety is an important. Let me give you an example. After Sachangwan accident, most of the oil marketing companies took responsibility, including establishing vehicular telematics in their offices, and they're able to monitor their trucks from Mombasa to the border. And you've seen there is a major reduction in road accidents involving oil tankers. There is also some companies like Bamburu Cement. They have clear vehicular telematics. Their lorries are rarely involved in accidents because they monitor them. I wish the sugar companies should be able also, and the sugar growing, cooperatives, should be able to put also safety as a very important factor in terms of measure when they are doing what they do. Unfortunately, we don't have compensation mechanism for road accidents in the country, except for their claims through insurance.
I can see Senator Ezena, your own intervention. Do you have a point of order? What is it?
No, Mr. Speaker, it's not a point of order. It's a point of information.
Who are you informing?
The Honorable CS, please.
No. Okay, proceed and inform me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I'd like to appreciate the Honorable CS for listening to us and responding on the issue of Maralal-Baragoi Road. If you remember correctly, I spoke about the issue to you before even you were sworn in. And I told you that the best thing you can do for Samburu is give us at least 2 roads, if not 1. And Honorable CS, the last time we had a meeting on the very dire insecurity issue in Samburu with the Minister for the CS for Interior, Honorable Kindiki, I am actually the one who raised the issue and requested for a road and for the 2 of you to work in partnership as a matter of urgency, dire urgency. Because I'm very sure there is a lot of issues across the country, like you have spoken about on roads. And
the information that you want to pass, that the road is still...
Honorable Speaker, no. I just want the CS to at least treat our case and situation as a matter of urgency, because it is involving loss of lives in Samburu County, and that is the same thing that led me from opposition, a leader from opposition, to go and seek the president recently in Osain in Kilgoris for the same road to be tarmacked. So for me as a pastoralist to swallow my pride and beg the president for a road, I implore the CS as a fellow pastoralist to treat that matter with the urgency and seriousness it deserves. Thank you, Honorable.
No, Senator Zena, it's only that you are representing a very critical constituency called the youth. So I just give you time to empower you and other youth. Otherwise, I could have disconnected you, but I gave you. No.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. So, CS, I think it's just to note that, but you can just take 30 seconds.
It is true what Senator Zena is saying. She spoke to me about this road also. And it's also true that even before the funeral, we met somewhere and he spoke to me about the same road. And so it is also true, Mr. Speaker, that she spoke in the meeting to the president. It is not true that she has to be in government for her to represent the people of Samburu or Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the position I hold is apolitical, and the responsibility of the state and government is to serve all Kenyans, regardless of their political affiliations. So I do not wish the senator to be apologetic when she's raising issues that are affecting Samburu. But also I want to challenge the senator that she's not representing Samburu. She's representing all the youth of the Republic in this chamber. And a pain anywhere in the country should be a pain, any part of the country should be a pain in the entire nation. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS, honorable senators. Because of the next 1 hour we listen to the CS education, I therefore kindly request that whoever has any other question, the CS is available, just do the normal questions, and then the CS will come back again to answer the supplementary questions from the senators. So kindly, for the respect of the other CS who has been here since morning, Honorable CS Loans and Transport, thank you very much for appearing before the Senate, and continue appearing many times. You see, loans, the screen is full because many senators have a lot of questions, especially on loan matters. Thank you very much. Kwaherini.
Thank you.
So, kindly usher in the next years. Honorable Senators, the Senate is still in session. To usher in the CS education. Sergeant Adams. Honourable Senators, we have the CS Education appearing before the Senate to answer several questions from different senators. And therefore, I want to welcome you to the Senate, CS Education, Bwana Mashogu, Ezekiel. We have a few questions and I want to start with the Senator for Nairobi City County.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This is the question to the Cabinet Secretary.
Sorry, let me give some guidance. I will call all the questions to be asked at the same time, and then we can give a few senators for interventions. So proceed.
Most appreciated, Speaker. This is the question to the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Could the Cabinet Secretary confirm that Visa Ojual Primary School in Westlands constituency, Nairobi, standing on LR number 209/5996, was categorized by the Ministry of Education as a public school in 1997? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the history of ownership of a said land and explain what the government is doing to settle the land dispute tussle, the land ownership tussle between the school and a private developer laying claim to the land? Finally, Mr. Speaker, let the CS for Education tell us what the fate of the 2,500 learners of the Visa Ojual Primary School is in light of impending eviction by the private developer. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The other two questions from Senator Morango, Senator for Kirinyaga County. Senator Girori Roberts approached the chair that she has been requested to ask the questions on behalf of the Kirinyaga County Senator. Proceed and ask the two questions simultaneously.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 006 by the Senator for Kirinyaga County. Could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the staffing levels at Kirinyaga University, indicating the number of academic, administrative, and support staff? B, what proportion of each cadre of staff in the university is from the local community? And could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether there is a policy in place requiring universities to employ a fixed quota of staff from the local community? And C, what measures has the government put in place to ensure that institutions of higher learning involve the local community in their operations? Question number 024 by Senator from Kirinyaga County, James Murango. A, are there plans by the government to establish a national polytechnic or technical training institution in Kirinyaga County? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether budgetary allocation for the same will be made in the financial year 2024-2025? B, what initiative has the government taken to establish at least one national polytechnic or technical training institute in all 47 counties? Thank you.
The other questions from Senator Hedy, I cannot see him around, and Senator for Kakamega County. And Senator for Tharaka-Nithi. These three senators cannot see them around or any other instructions from them. So let the CS respond to the questions by Senator Sifuna and Senator Morango. I'm told Senator Boni wrote a letter that he is not around. So, and Senator Ketch, maybe you come back and ask his question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the honorable members for according me this opportunity to respond to the number of questions raised by the Senate. I will start with a question from the Senator Nairobi County, which is about this particular school. And I want to state that the FISA also primary school was registered as a public school by the Ministry of Education, filed a registration certificate number PE/572/97, dated 12th August 1997.
Again, the school was registered again to align with the status of the county education board